Left-wing ideologues, Politics Joe, have been slovenly and sycophantically worshipping their demigod of progressivism, Gary Lineker, for defending the comments he made against the government's policy on immigration. Just to remind you of his comments, that bastion of BBC neutrality, Mr. Lineker, said of the illegal boat crossings across the Channel, "There is no huge influx. We take far fewer refugees," they're not refugees, Gary, "than any other major European countries. This is just an immeasurably cruel policy directed at the most vulnerable people in language that is not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 1930s. As much as Gary tries to weasel out of it in the clip coming up, much to the delight of Politics Joe, he is of course engaging in what's known as Godwin's law, how long it takes in a debate for the argument that you're a Nazi if you disagree with me to come up.
Looking back, do you think that was a fair comparison?
Already you've misrepresented what I said, and that's what happened because of the Daily Mail headline, which caused this furore in the first place. I didn't compare the government to the Nazis. I didn't talk about the Holocaust. I didn't do any of that. All I said was some of the language is not dissimilar to that used.
Now, there's so much obfuscation here, it's hard to know where to start, but let's begin with his claim that it was the Daily Mail headline. The Eye, The Independent, and LBC all reported the same story. The reason he's saying Daily Mail is to play to the other progressives who believe the Daily Mail is a fascist right-wing rag. And second, you weasel, yes, you didn't directly refer to the government as Nazis, but you inferred that they were engaging in the same rhetoric as a 1930s German party. Well, everyone's going to think that means the Nazi, and you're implying that the government are engaging in that rhetoric, henceforth they have Nazi ideology. Now, I guess that Gary has taken this line because his lawyers have told him to. It sounds like a good defence in court. I didn't directly call them Nazis, Your Honour. However, what really irks me is that many of us in the country, probably the majority of British people, feel our government policy doesn't go nearly far enough. So if he thinks Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman are Nazis, what does he think of us?
Gary, if you talk about the German government in the early 1930s, you may not use the word Nazi. I actually said that on your behalf on Question Time. But it was a Nazi government. You can't pretend that it wasn't. It was.
I was talking about some of the language that is not dissimilar, and that is very much the case. You know, we use the word swarm, we use the word invasion, we use the word rapists, all these for the people, fleeing persecution, fleeing war, awful circumstances. All I was trying to say is we can use kinder language.
So, according to Gary, you can have tens of thousands of illegal migrants coming here, but you can't mention if they commit a crime, you can't mention that it's an invasion despite there being tens of thousands of them, and you can't say anything unkind, despite him calling anybody who has a problem with it a Nazi. It seems then an understanding of irony doesn't register quite so well amongst the progressives' list of qualities. But let's be honest, Gary Lineker's not necessarily a bad person, he's just an idiot. He's someone who was very successful in football and has lived a sheltered life like most progressives. He doesn't understand reality or what the real world is like, he just holds woke liberal progressive views to advance his career at the BBC. Yet the reality is that Lineker's really just a company man who parrots the ideology of the age in order for social acceptance and money. If we had a 1930s style right-wing government from Germany in, he'd just parrot that line too, so he can keep his cushy job, his money rolling in, and keep dating 20-year-old models. These are just my views, however. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel.